Coming up on this episode of Cade Friends, I am joined with our guest this week, Russell Suneagle, host and podcaster of Okie podcast and Spirit Talkers podcast.
What is your scariest paranormal activity?
We went to the old boarding school and we did some ghost hunting. We didn't hear nothing. You know, we just went through and laugh and have a good time. And then we left. It was probably like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We left, got home. I was trying to go to sleep. All of a sudden, like a knock was on my door. It was like...
Why did that make me jump?
Hello and welcome to Cade Friends. I am joined with my co-host, Big Al, and our guest this week, Russell Suneagle.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Good to be here. Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Cade and Big Al.
Thank you. Thank you. As everyone who watches this podcast knows, I'm frequently called Big Al.
Yeah.
I'm almost always called that.
And if this is the first time knowing that this guy's named Big Al, then you're not a real fan of our show.
Yeah.
And to make up for it, you need to just subscribe to our Patreon, and maybe you'll find before Russell's episode some more context.
Yeah.
The big change that happened. Yeah. And that's to unlock that, you go to patreon.com/ktobus. Well, Russell here, our guest this week. He's a host and podcaster of Okie podcast and Spirit Talkers podcast. We're so glad to have you. I've been on Okie podcast before, and I love your shows. I do really love your shows.
Thank you. Yeah, it's that was a year ago, right?
Yeah.
That you were on mine.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like how time just go by so fast. I mean, but now thinking about it, it's like that was a year ago.
Yeah, and we see each other kind of at different events and everything. So it's I do feel like I see you at quite a few things. So I always appreciate running into you. A lot of the different, like we've at the ScostyCon or the Comic Con, Cherokee Art Market, where there was that comedy show that was the Native Comedy Night at Looney Bin. We ran into each other.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I remember that too.
Yeah, that was good.
I was not part of it.
Where was Big Al?
I was up in Ohio.
Yeah. I always thought that those events were missing the presence of Big Al.
Yeah.
Some Big Al energy that was missing.
Yeah. I get that a lot. Anytime I don't show up for an event, people often say, we really just miss that Big Al energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
Whose episode is this? Is this my episode or is this Russell's?
This is definitely Russell's episode, yeah. You didn't have to pick such a strong nickname, Alex.
I really thought that was just going to be like a one-off 3-second bit, and it is.
No, it's for life now. That is Big Al.
Big change happened here. So yeah, you've hosted a lot of different shows and a lot of different things. That's where always whenever people always ask me, with because I have 2 podcasts, I'm like, well, I don't have as much as Russell does and everything, but you have so many shows. I guess I'll ask the question that I always get asked: why so many shows, and how do you manage to have so many different projects going?
Man, so I had 4 at one time, and it was the Turtle Island Boys and Underground Kings, and that was with Underground Kings was with King Castro X. Turtle Island Boys is with Robin Jackson, and then King Castro X had to work, and then Rob, he probably just got caught up with life, and so now, but it's Spirit Talkers and Okie podcasts, and so, but why? I don't know.
Yeah,
I started Okie podcast, and it's fun. So paranormal stuff is cool to get into. So why not?
Do you believe in ghosts? Let's just
Okay,
great.
Yeah. The podcast, it changed. It opened up my mind a lot about a lot of stuff. So, it's pretty interesting once you really dive into it.
And we'll definitely, I do want to have a whole talk about that. That is, it used to be called, unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now it's Spirit Talkers, and you do really well on TikTok and everything. And yeah, I definitely will have to talk deeply about that and everything. But yeah, I mean, just managing all of your different. I mean, just outside that, you have a lot going on. I mean, you're shooting things and doing different things. Like it's a whole grind, as they say.
True. Yeah. Like, I mean, I just shot a Ava Johnson's music video. I just did that in October, and right now it's sitting at number 3 on the Indigenous Music Countdown.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Congratulations.
And so I saw that yesterday, and super proud of her. And I mean, I just couldn't believe I had the opportunity to shoot her video. So I mean, it was a good time.
Wow, that's really cool.
Cade is much more familiar with you than I am. But do you have so Cade works full time with the Cherokee Nation. Do you have a full time job, or is this like the podcasting and shooting stuff? Is that your full time?
So that's my full time.
That is your full time. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the ultimate goal. But
I mean, like, it's a grind. Like, I'm not by any means well off. I mean, I'm jobless, I would say, but I'm constantly looking for that next job, right? Like photography, videography, hosting, whatever it may be. You know, I'm like constantly looking for whatever it is I need to do next. And so, but, I mean, I work with our language program, and so I guess that's kind of like, it's semester though.
And what's your tribe?
Pawnee Nation, Pawnee Nation language program, and then I commentate football.
Oh,
Yeah, so Pawnee Black Bears, I do that in the fall.
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I think spring's covered with language, and then fall with language, and then football. In
Okay,
the fall.
but it's still not like a traditional
9
40
to
hour.
5?
Yeah, 9 to
No.
5.
Well, and it seems like, I mean, you're on the road a lot then. Back and
Yeah,
forth.
I'm always traveling with the team, and so
Yeah.
shout out to Lone TV Productions. That's who I work for.
That's fun. That's fun. Yeah. So what's the language preservation like? So what you're doing classroom setting? Or how is that?
So I work online
Okay.
on Zoom. So we have an online class that our community goes to, and I help with audio visual for that. Also learning and probably start helping teach pretty soon.
I was just saying, are you fluent?
No. No, not yet.
Oh yeah, but I mean, doing the classes, I'm sure you're helping with the classes. It's only gonna, it's hard to not learn something when you're doing it. When you're helping all the time.
Yeah,
And what's the state of the Pawnee language?
man, it was on the verge of extinction, but I mean, it's still close. There's a certain like scale, I guess, and we're like right there.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Dene, it's like, I think it goes from like 1 to 10. I think we're like right there at like almost 10.
Oh wow.
10 is like extinct, and I think like Dene Nation's like 4.
Oh, wow.
Even though they have so many fluent speakers, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's how it is. I might be wrong, but I mean, but we're trying to work to preserve it and bring it back. And
I think that's an amazing thing because, I like just going through school, like there's all, you learn about like the extinct languages and stuff. And it's like, there's so much history that is lost whenever you lose a language. And so I think any like attempt to, preserve a language, I mean, if people can continue to do Latin after all these years, why not these like native important, languages that are here. So I think what you're doing is
the culture. Yeah. And so is there a phrase for what does Pawnee have a name for the language?
yeah, it's a Padi Pokudu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. I should have said that. No, but yeah, it's a Padi Pokudu. So, I mean, but it's gone through a lot of changes from when I remember as a kid. So it's grown a lot. So
I'm very, growing up, Cherokee is kind of heralded, like everyone, like my school, in 5th grade, we were taught like some Cherokee. And so like there was a lady who was brought in, and she taught like some Cherokee words and so. And the only thing I remember now, I used to remember the word like blue, so is there a written language for Pawnee, and like is there like how do you learn it?
yeah, we had it's called a blue book, but I believe it was from some fluent speakers, but we had like Indiana University had a lot of our archives, I guess, like audio and just different writings and stuff and stories. And this guy died and he had it. And so he wouldn't, I don't know if I should say this, but he wouldn't give it to us. And then he died and then they're going to give it to us now.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like,
That's odd.
it's like thousands upon thousands of things, I guess.
Oh,
I should
wow.
say.
Yeah.
Like
Documents.
documents, yeah, it's a proper word.
recordings and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
documents, yeah. So
I can only imagine how much that'll help.
yeah, so Taylor and Zach are gonna go through that and see what we can do.
But there is a written language for it.
Yeah, we're trying to. Yeah. I mean, it's
Probably have some sort of anglicized
yeah
version of
mhm,
it.
Yeah.
yeah,
associated with it,
yeah.
yeah.
It's hard to explain. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I mean, English wasn't around at that time. And
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
have to kind of
Translate
yeah,
and
yeah,
Rework.
yeah. It's yeah.
I think that's super fascinating. Like I cannot imagine anyone like obviously like people create languages for like I'm a big Star Trek fan and Star Wars so they've created all those languages, but then to and I feel like that would be easier to create a complete new language than to take a existing language and create a written language based off of what you're hearing. And so I can't imagine like how difficult that one would be, because if you're making your own language, you can do whatever you want. But with this, I think that's I don't know. I think it's a beautiful
sentence structure's different, and all. I mean, the way it doesn't have, when you study, if you know English and then you study French or Spanish or anything, they all have the base sort of similar letters. They're all based typically on Latin. So there's a base to it, and sentence structure is oftentimes very similar to each other. But when you have a indigenous language that isn't even remotely, I mean, they're developed on completely different sides of the world. There is no common similarities there. But over time, you would have things created, like when English is introduced and people are bilingual, or at least around English, like they do sort of, merge in some sort of way, and have some similarities over time, but still the base is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're starting from scratch.
But speaking to what you're doing, I mean, Sequoia, and for the Cherokee language, did that. He created essentially the written form of the Cherokee language from nothing. He was the only person that we really know of in the modern context that was able to create a written language like that. I mean, it is pretty insane for someone who never learned to read and write himself. Like he created that completely on his own, and it's insane. I mean, that's not unheard of, and then it was applicable completely, and Cherokees were able to learn a written form of their language. It was like within like 5 years of him creating it, Cherokees were literate in that in that syllabary, which is crazy. But yeah, but it's also different. It's not an alphabet; it's a syllabary, so it's broken up in different ways. But yeah. But I think it's very important, and preserving indigenous languages is very important. And I love seeing all the different tribes doing that and the efforts that they're doing. So I'm glad that you are doing that and everything.
Yeah.
Glad you're a part of that.
Had to grow up. Yeah. Yeah, growing up, and it was like realizing it was how important it was, and just knowing it could be gone, right? Like you don't want that. I mean, as a kid, you don't really get it or understand about how important it is, but because you're off doing your own thing. But
Did you hear it growing up at all?
yeah, we had classes and stuff, but I mean, you're a kid, so it's like you don't really care. You're just there with your friends, hanging out. It's not like I didn't have the mindset I do now as I was younger.
Yeah. I wish I would have paid more attention to because it's easier to learn a language when you're younger, like under 12 or whatever. And so there's so many parts of me that just wishes I would have studied something, just something different, and tried to learn that. So that's definitely a regret. So if anyone under 12 is listening, learn a language.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, they do say it's easier and everything. And that is, at some point, I'm going to have that realization and want to, because I want to learn the Cherokee language and want to do that. But it's every time I'm like, oh, am I gotten too old for it, but there's other people that are older than me that learn it and have done, great things. But yeah, it's
Sequoia made a language. So I think you can learn it.
Yeah. No, it's, but yeah, I mean, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, because we're English speakers first, and it's hard to kind of grasp it at first.
See, I've always, jokingly thought to myself, but like half jokingly, like if I ever have a kid, I want to find a way to raise them in a I only know language or English. I only know language. I only know English. My girlfriend only knows, she knows a little bit of like Spanish, but for the most part English. So it's like, could you raise a child being an English speaker? Like, can you just like play like Spanish music or like just put on a Spanish podcast on the background and just like, hopefully they learn something, or because, kids, they learn what's being talked around them. And so kids can grow up and they can learn 2 languages if like their parents are speaking both. So I'm like, can I just throw something on when they sleep and see what turns out? Cause I don't know. I think having knowing one extra language just kind of puts you ahead. I feel like so much. I think it makes you smarter. And then I think it just, if you're trying to find a job, there's, it doesn't matter what language it is that, it could be something like Spanish, which will be applicable anytime. You can learn Chinese, which would be very helpful. You could learn Norwegian and, you have one other location you could move to and live comfortably. So I think it's important to have an extra language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely.
And I hope that you teach that to little Al.
Yeah.
Big Al, little Al is going to learn Norwegian. He's going to move to Norway.
Yeah. Russell, I have a question for you. So do you think that hosting podcasts makes you a better guest?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think if you have a podcast in general, it helps you become a guest. Because you learn the art of talking.
Do you like being a guest, or do you prefer being a host?
I like both. I just like talking, I guess.
Because we had our old professor and a friend, Tip. He said several times he liked being a guest because he didn't have to prepare anything. He's able to just kind of like go with it. And so I didn't know if you felt at all the same way, or if some people enjoy hosting.
Mm-hmm. When I'm a guest, I like seeing how it works, how other people work. So it's interesting to watch you guys, the setup, putting it together.
Which typically the guests shouldn't have to watch us do that, but yes, thank you.
If you could have gotten stuck in traffic, that would have been great. Because I was supposed to get here early and help.
You don't have to tell this whole story. Yeah.
Check out either Lexi's podcast or our podcast, because this is definitely going to be something.
Yeah. But no, I mean, some people I think that there's more pressure on them to be a guest, and then other people think there's more pressure to be a host. I think there's, just my own thought process. I think there's pressure either way. Yeah. I think there's prep work involved being a host that you have to do a little bit, that I feel, and then I often like, oh God, did I prep enough or whatever? And then I get from the guests, the pressure is like, okay, I've got to be the best version of me that there is.
And that's what I like to pressure our guests personally. Yeah. So
you pressured me with calling you Big Al.
Yeah, we forced him to, between the scenes, we forced him to call me Big Al.
Yeah, he says that, we don't have many rules here, but right now you got to call me Big Al. That's what he said.
You have to give us good content and call me Big Al.
It's the 2 rules.
So yeah, when Cade is like, when Cade is setting up and I have a moment with them, I like to just stare at the guests and just like make them really uncomfortable, so they come in here and they're just like sweating.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't cause like a lawsuit or anything.
No. Or the amount of times that you point to yourself and you say Big Al. Big Al. You got it? if you want to unlock that joke, you could go to patreon.com/Cade Thomas. Yeah. But no, I feel like from a guest perspective, I'm like, even though like, so your show is so sort of relaxed, and so, you know, you go on different paths, and you're really a really great host, and you're able to get, your guests talking, you know, and, that's, I think that's the goal. But I always, you know, anytime I'm a guest on it, I'm like, oh, I gotta be funny, or I gotta be, you know, whatever. I don't know.
You have to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah, it can be tough. I mean, when I first started, it was hard because I put too much pressure on myself to try to be the best host, and I was trying to be Joe Rogan or something, and I'm not. And then so I had to realize to be myself.
Yeah,
you're Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys ever tried DMT? Yeah. You tried your carnivore diet? Yeah.
And so, I mean, but I had to realize that. And then when I was a guest on a pod, when I first started, that was kind of hard because I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to also be someone I'm not, you know, like, oh, what have I done? You know? And so, but it was a good experience because it helped me just be able to talk more. I mean, it's an art, man. Like, talking is an art. Like, people don't really get it. And they try to say, like, what you guys do is easy, you know, but it's not. I mean, it's...
Especially if you're doing it a lot.
Yeah, it's hard work. I mean, setup, breakdown, edit. I mean, there's all kind of things that go into podcasting, and, you know, it's not just hitting record and then talking. You know, like some people hit record and they freeze up. Yeah. Right? Like, yeah. And so you just have to learn how to talk.
Yeah. Some people require more work than others. Like, you know, sometimes when you get someone on, you kind of have to, I don't know, put in more effort. Some people it's really easy, you know, they'll just roll with everything. And some people you kind of like, they put the period at the end, and then you have to start again and again and again.
Yeah.
What makes a bad guest, Russell?
I shouldn't say.
I mean, or one that you have to struggle with. I mean, like, what are traits that it is? There are some things that it is.
I mean, for me, it's like getting from one point to the next, and I'd rather just have a genuine conversation.
Yeah,
like and everybody's done that, but I've had a few where it's like just they tell me something and they stop. Yeah, and we both are staring at each other.
Yep. Is there more to that?
Is there more to that? But
yeah, I mean, I think it's tough for anyone. I mean, you'll get in your head, and then or whatever, and you'd lose the sort of thing. But I don't know. I mean, there's sometimes where people are too sort of, you know, truncated and short with their responses. And then other ones, I mean, just sometimes you don't gel with people. I think that there's that That's possibility. Okay. Yeah. Or that you're fine off camera, but as soon as something changes when it's in this performative setting, that it's just like, oh, okay, that's different.
I think that's what you said, Russell. Some people just like, as soon as the recording hits, they freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens too. It's like they just kind of lose sight of, I mean, you see the complete difference of like, oh man, we're having fun. And then boom. And it's like, and then I've had some where it's like, man, I'm so nervous when you hit that button. And I'm like, just chill out. Like, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Pretend it's not even on.
Do you ever lie to them and be like, oh, we're not even recording yet? And you just like secretly like turn on the record just to.
Yeah.
You know what? We're just going to take a break. I'm going to end the recording, and then
we're not
just
recording.
No. And then you get like an hour in and you're like, hey, I recorded that entire thing. You're done.
I had one where my SD card went out, or it filled up, and we were talking for an hour and a half, and it wasn't recording.
Jeez. We've had issues in the past, different things. So, I mean, that those are always heartbreaking whenever that happens. Cause like, we recorded 2 episodes back to back. I don't think Alex was there, but it was one of those, because we didn't have our sound guy there. And what happened was we were hearing it just fine, but it wasn't plugged in right to our record. And that's why we recorded it twice, to make sure that we have the audio in the separately, because just double check. But yeah, we lost two good podcasts in one day. It's just was like, oh,
man.
Yeah.
Do you record yours like in advance, like, or how well in advance do you record yours? Because ours are notoriously well in advance.
Yeah. This might not come out until, I hate to even say when it might. I mean, well, let's say long term September of 2024, which is right. It's so close. It's not. Yeah.
I know it's just like 2 months away, but
Yeah.
That's what I heard on that one episode. You guys were saying, don't say anything like relevant.
That's always tough because it's like, if we reference something that's going on right now, I mean, the one you might be referencing was the submarine,
Yeah.
That was it.
which, you know what, it's not very topical, but
Especially now in September
of 2024,
Yeah, which is weird that we're saying the year too. That's odd.
But you might get something, and some stuff will hold up better than others. If you talk about something political going on, thankfully we've never done that before. It could change so fast. But we just kind of hope for the best. Yeah, at this point it's a bit. And if we do reference something that like, because you said earlier, and you did that film and it's at number 3, and so I'm. Hopefully, it's hit number 1 by then.
True. Yeah.
It has hit number 1. Actually,
yeah, it's at number 1 right now. My mistake.
But the question: how well in advance do you film yours?
Man, I've gone from like 3 months, but now it's just like 3 weeks, maybe a month, maybe a month ahead.
That's the
Keeps it
goal
fresh.
ultimately.
Yeah.
But it's just with me living in Ohio. It's so hard to. We have to film a lot of these in bulk, and it's like I might come back down here, in February or March or something, but so we don't know, and so it's just like when I'm here, we try to get as much done as we can, and then if I come back down and we want to, because I'm not always the co-host on all of these, and so we always that's always like we always have someone we know who can be a co-host.
It's a flexible show, so we can do different things. I keep each season. I'm trying to push the boundaries of different ways of what this show is. I think this season there's less bits. There's more. I just like just sitting and talking. I think that is really fun, and I enjoyed that about your show and everything. And I think that it's. I don't know. I mean, but we'll see how it works this season. If it,
Did your show start off one way and then end up? I mean, obviously the Spirit Walkers started as
Spirit Talkers,
Spirit Talkers. Sorry, started as one, and then it's this, I believe. But did the Okie did it start one way and then it end up here? Or has it maintained consistency?
So it started as like I had no idea what to do. I just would bring on guests, but now it's like. Because I just said I wanted to do a podcast, but I don't know what to do it, how to do it, or whatever. And so I had Riker on the first one, and after that, I just had guests after guests, and so it was more of like just them telling their story, what they do, and more like motivation, I guess. If you want to do something, do it, whether it be acting, filmmaking, whatever. And then Spirit Talkers, that was like Tyler Randall from Skoden Cinema. He hit me up and he was like, do you want to do a Bigfoot episode? And I said, yeah, sure. So we hit up Chris and we did it. And it kind of just took off after that. Like, I mean, that one hit.
Yeah.
Then we did one about Deer Woman and that one hit. And then.
So that was the idea for the whole show was just a one-off thing for okay.
It was a one-off Bigfoot episode and people are into paranormal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really into it and that folklore and everything. So
we have talked multiple times about doing something like Bigfoot related. And so, it's,
we would shoot because, with my work with Cherokee Nation, we would shoot a lot in interviewing elders in different spots. And then we would go out to their homes and, every time, I mean, not elder, I mean, just, people that were doing different traditional things and stuff. And, every time it would somehow go back to something paranormal that they've witnessed there. Whoa. Yeah. And it's just like that they've seen traces of a Bigfoot or that they've seen ghosts. I mean, like that's just how it, happens. I mean, everyone has, especially when you're out in the woods and different things and you don't know what sort of but yeah, Native people, they enjoy it, but I think everybody really enjoys the paranormal. And I think that the success of that show, yeah, I mean, it was right off the bat when I started, like with when you were posting on TikTok of just all of a sudden, I mean, like you'd get tons and tons of views and everything on that. Yeah.
You got 50,000 or over 50,000 followers.
Followers, yeah. Yeah. I think because I was studying TikTok and I didn't know what to do with it. Finally, I just dove into educating myself and then it was like, post at this time and use hashtags and use 3 and then I think like the one that hit most was at that time was 310,000 views. Wow. And then after that, it was like 700,000, and then we got followers. But I'm like, I gotta get back on it. I've been neglecting it.
But I've heard, I mean, just people in conversation will be talking, and they'll be like, "Oh, have you seen this? Unsolved. This was like back then. Reservation Mysteries or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know the guy. I've been on this show. I mean, yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it had even just reach of just people talking about it. I mean, and that's the goal there.
Yeah, I like it because families watch it, and so we're clean. We don't cuss or anything. And so that was kind of hard for me at first because I cuss on the other one, but I mean I've leveled out to where I don't have to cuss and I can just talk, So it's good practice, but yeah, I like how families can watch it, and I meet a bunch of people that just say like, "Oh, we watched it on our TV because it's on YouTube." So
yeah, I mean it makes sense that because like when I was growing up, my mom and we would watch like, Ghost Hunters, or like that was something my family would watch, like the Ghost Hunters, every whatever day, that once a week when Ghost Hunters was kind of at its prime with, I remember Grant, but I don't remember any of the other names. Is Grant even one of the names? I don't even know. I don't know. But we would watch Ghost Hunters once a week. And then, there was like, I think it was like,
I remember Grant. Did Grant exist?
I think that was one of the names. That might be Mythbusters. It could be both.
I distinctly remember Grant. Wait a second. Did I just make that up?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. But, we would watch, like Ghost Hunters and stuff. And, there was like a haunting or The Haunting or something. There was all these like different paranormal shows. And I don't know. I think people want to watch it with someone because I've watched, I've lived in my house like where I grew up for 20 plus years and, never really had any spooky experiences, but by God, if I put on a spooky show, like something that's about how like this person's house was haunted and they had to get it cleansed with a priest, I'm going to walk down my hallway with every light on. I'm going to turn on every single light and, I'm going to be jittery for the next hour or two. And so I think, watching it with someone. So I think, it makes total sense that families want to watch it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like paranormal.
Hopefully they'll remember your name.
You're that guy, Rusty. But like it's a lot of information too that a lot of people don't have available to them, like with their grandmas and grandpas and stuff. So we get messages and talk to about, thank you for sharing this. I don't have anybody to tell me stuff like that. And so I mean that's cool too. I never even thought of that, right? And so, but it's just like general information about a lot of stuff, and it's opened my mind a lot about things. But shout out to the listeners for Spirit Talkers. I mean, because I like Okie podcast. It's like for the people. That's your platform. That's you tell everybody who you are and everything, and I'll chime in. And Spirit Talkers is like, I mean, yeah, it's like paranormal, but it's totally different. It's the opposite of what I do on the other one. So
did you come in from like a skeptical perspective? Is that what?
No.
Say? Okay.
No, I just there's a lot of beliefs and stuff, and I know they're real because I had several experiences, but
which I want to ask you about here in a minute.
But I mean, it's just like learning more about them, right? Like entities and stuff, and good and bad, and evil, all that. And
you guys have traveled to different communities and like done your show, right? And got stories and different things like that.
Yeah, spooky storytelling. So we do that sometimes, and we get good turnouts. And then people will come and tell their stories and get spooked out. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
You want to ask? Go ahead and ask.
Yeah,
questions.
you want to know, Big Al?
So look into the camera for this as well, because this could be a really great TikTok clip. So this get the close up. So you referenced it. What kind of what I don't know. I guess there's two questions here. What is your scariest paranormal activity, or what is your coolest paranormal activity? And they can be the same.
So it's probably like my very first one. I mean, when I was a kid, I remember me and my dad driving back from Tulsa to Pawnee, and we took the back way in from the tribe, and I was probably like 7, 8, but I remember seeing this like that color on that camera right there. Like it was that color, but hazier.
It's white, by the way.
It's still bluish kind of.
Yeah,
Bluish
like a
white,
bluish
like
haze, and it was like this. It looked like a torso statue, and it was like moving. And I remember that, and I remember looking at it, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I watched it, and it went from like the open, I don't want to say field, but whatever the open part is of the IHS building. It went from there into a building, and I was like, "Dad, you see that?" I don't know if he saw it or not, because kids can see paranormal stuff. So I think he just like, yeah, I agreed with me, and then I don't know if he ever saw it or not. But then I wasn't afraid of that, but that was probably like my very first time seeing actually something.
So it just went through the building.
Yeah, it went through the building, and I never saw it again. But it was like that color, but it was like hazier, and then imagine like a torso statue, and it was just like moving.
Okay, you can put this in post, right? Like you can edit in.
And
so it's headless. And
it had a head. It was just like the torso up.
Oh, okay. So it had a head.
And I swear it looked like an old Indian, like an old native. And so, but yeah, it moved, and yeah, my dad was like, "Yeah, I saw it," but I don't know if he did or not. I'm afraid to ask him to. But and then like after that though, when I was in high school, I mean, this is years later, and never really messed with the paranormal. But we went to the old boarding school, and we did some ghost hunting, and I mean, history. I mean, it sucks. And so when you find out like what really happened back then, man, it's bad. But we went in there. I mean, we had nothing to do in a small town, so we didn't do like drink or anything either. So we just went there and started ghost hunting. And so went through from the basement all the way up.
Oh, the basement.
Dark. That was at the time when the tribe had no lights out there, so it was pitch black. Went through there, and I had my phone on, and my friends had a recorder. We didn't hear nothing. We just went through and laugh and have a good time. And then we left. It was probably like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We left, got home, and they called me and they said, "Hey, go to this time on your phone." And then, "Is that you?" And so I went and I had to really listen to it. And it was like an old Pawnee, speaking Pawnee in my phone. And they caught it on their recorder. I said, "No, it's not me because I don't know our language." And then, okay, hung up. I was kind of freaked out, and I was like, "Oh, man." And they called me again. They said, "Is this you? Go to this time." And it was like an aggressive voice. We can cuss on this, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I want to make sure because I know things are changing. But this aggressive voice said, it called us motherfuckers. Like,
oh god,
aggressive voice, and it was not me, nobody. I never said that in there, and they're like, "Is that you?" Because I cussed a lot back then. But, and they said no, and I said no, and they hung up, and I was like, okay. So I was kind of freaked out, and then I was trying to go to sleep. All of a sudden, like a knock was on my door or my window. It was like,
Why did that make me jump?
And it knocked on my window, and my neighbor usually comes over, but he was out of town. And man, I didn't say nothing. And then it goes again. And I went in our front room. I turned all the lights on. I don't know how I fell asleep, but I fell asleep on our couch in the front room. And I woke up the next day and I told my friend, I was like, man, something knocked on my window. And he just said, like, you know, when that happens again, tell me, to kind of, I guess, smoke off, but hit some cedar, bless the area.
Oh my God.
But I mean, like, that was probably like the terrifying time. But after that, nothing happened. Luckily.
Do you still have those recordings? Do you guys still have those recordings anywhere?
I don't think they do. I wish. And I had an older phone back then, so
yeah,
that's gone.
Yeah, I maybe your friend has it stored somewhere and just has that, because that'd be crazy to kind of like listen to. But Cade, do you have any paranormal experience? The awful time to ask as you're drinking.
No, I mean I had little things. I mean I guess I saw things as a kid, but I don't remember anything like that. Just I've been told that that's been the case, but and then and the only time that was kind of odd, I'm not that was I don't know exactly how to explain it, but my mother and I we were down in Atlanta for my true crime film festival that Laura was in. We went to go visit a lot of the historic Cherokee sites there for our heritage. We hadn't ever been to that area. We went to Cherokee, North Carolina, but we never been up in North Georgia, which is, part of our homelands. And we went to New Echota, which is one of the original capitals of the Cherokee Nation. And so they have a lot of the historic sites still there and everything. And we were running behind that day, and we were coming in right at the tail end of when it was, we only had a few minutes for when it was closing. And so we went through, and they're like, we're closing soon, so just kind of be quick with it and everything. And we're like, okay, yes, we know and everything, and we knew we were kind of running late and everything. So we go through there and see the whole site and everything. And as we leave, we're like, okay, we're running behind, we got to leave. And so we get back to the car, and my mom's like, oh, they're waiting there by the gate for us to lock the gate behind us and everything. And, we see them standing there and everything. And so we hurry, get back to the car, and we see them over there. And then as we're pulling out, leaving, there was no one at the gate. There was, I don't know. We both were very serious that there were two figures waiting at the gate, to for us to, leave and everything. Or to, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to even explain, maybe to say bye. I don't know what it was, but they were waiting there. And as we were by, they were not there. There was no one there. Wow. Yeah. And we're like, there were two figures over there, right? Yeah. Yeah. There definitely was. And that's that. Don't have any cool wrap up of that. But that's that story. But I don't know. Take that what you will.
That's that's interesting though. That especially that like that doesn't seem hostile or anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe they're just like, hey, come on, these people are trying to get out of here. Got to do our 9 to 5s.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been like, I'm trying to think of what it could be. It could be like there could be like, hey, we have our time in which we come out at once it's closed, and you guys are impeding our time. Or it could have been, hey, some sort of, we're Cherokee, they're there or whatever, and it could have been, them, seeing us away, or it could have been. The problem with me is that I always try to logic anything. Anytime that there's ever a thing, it's like, I try to, logic it away. Yeah. And so I don't know. I mean,
is there any chance that was there enough time for you guys to see them, get in the car, turn around, lose sight of them, and then was there enough time?
There really wasn't enough time. It was quite immediate, and that's what's odd about it. So I don't know. I mean, I think all that exists. I think you have to sort of be in the right place, the right time, the right, mindset, the right, you have to be open to certain things. And for the most part, I do think I have closed myself off of a lot of that stuff for just, I don't know, that just I don't want to welcome anything bad in, and so I don't welcome anything good either, so there's that aspect to it. So which is sad. I think that's a better world to live in when you're more connected to all of that. But I don't know, just for my own way of going about things.
Well, I think you need to go back. I think you need to go back at closing time and
yeah. No, maybe. But you do have to be open to it, I think. I think people walk around, closed off to that sort of things.
It's hard though, because they say like when you hear humming in your ears, like that buzzing sound, that's like a spirit trying to communicate with you. So I've been hearing that a lot lately.
Like a ringing, like the tinnitus.
It's like,
or just like
right in your ear, and then it just kind of fades away. And they say like,
that.
that's like a spirit trying to talk to you, right? And so I don't know, like sometimes you don't know who you're inviting in, like you're talking about, right? Like you don't know what it is, if it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And so
see that
you're taking a shot if you're communicating with it.
That was always my fear. And so I have zero like paranormal things. Like I'm sure as a kid, like maybe like I remember my brother being like, he said he would hear footsteps like in our hallway or something. But like I truly never had anything that I can think of. Maybe at like RSU at the auditorium. I mean, the auditorium, you could just, it felt creepy, especially if you were by yourself. Very much a building that you want someone with you or you're turning on all the lights. And I mean, I've been in there like, walking through or closing up and stuff and just being like, feeling, but I don't know if that's, self created, just being like, okay, I know that this is this is a creepy place. I know that people have had experiences here. So, but my fear has always been, and this is probably just from, watching those like haunting shows where like these people, they move into a house and then like, they wake up with scratch marks or like, the glass is shattering against the wall and they invite a priest and they exorcise it and then all the lights blow out or something. And so, that's always been my fear of just like, what if I get possessed or, they're like a demon follows me home and I have to call like a Catholic priest and be like, hey, can you like do something here? Yeah. And so that's always been like my worry, which seems, I don't worry about it often, mind you, but it is something that if I watch a show, I'm always like, oh boy, what if this happens to me? Yeah.
I'm not as concerned in civilization. It's like, I don't do the woods. Times I'm like, don't do woods at night, or even, that's where I'm like, they're out there. Things are out there that I don't know. And so that's where I'm at. But yeah, no, I mean, I do think like there's stuff that, can't be explained. I mean, I do think that when, I think this is without a doubt, no question, but after people pass, their essence is around in this realm, like lingering, and trailing off. Like I do think that is a thing, however that needs to be explained or whatever, but their energy's there, it's transferring to someplace else, there's an in-between world, whatever the case is. But I very much do believe that, especially, in moments after that they pass and, during a certain period of time, they are very much here, because you can feel that and everything. And I don't know. Just something that I feel
like there's, for me personally, it's, and I feel like there's more, like I will believe in a ghost any day of the week, but like, compared to like a Bigfoot or a Loch Ness monster, I feel like ghosts are far more,
But isn't like Bigfoot more fun?
Is Bigfoot more fun than ghosts? I mean, I guess so. I mean, I think it depends on the ghost.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, it had to be a really interesting person to make a good ghost. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess Bigfoot would be interesting.
Yeah. Wait, where do you rank it? What's the most interesting thing? Paranormal, cryptid, or whatever?
Oh man, that's hard, dude.
Yeah,
I like cryptids. I've always liked cryptids.
What is a cryptid?
It's all of those. Bigfoot,
Loch
the
Ness.
Oh, okay,
Ness,
okay.
Chupacabra.
Mothman. The Wendigo.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do Wendigo stories on there?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Yeah.
They're very popular online.
Mm-hmm.
People like. I mean, of course, that's more, Pacific Northwest kind of those tribes. Those are pretty creepy things, Alex. If you want a creepy thing,
Yeah.
Maybe
Get into scary talk.
start listening to and become an avid listener to Spirit Talkers.
yeah.
Don't get scared. That
I-
knock
look,
scared you.
Dude, I don't know why that scared me. Like that genuinely. Was I in the shot
Yeah,
that whole
yeah,
time
yeah.
thing? Oh, you know what? That'll be
That was
great.
awesome.
I just like you said the knock, and I was just like, okay, and I was like stretching or like I was moving to get more comfortable, and then it just came out of nowhere. I was like, oh my god, I scare very easily though. Like that is something that I've learned that I will, I jump scare very easily. If I watch a scary movie, I can know what's going to come, and even then, I still like will get jump scared, and it's like what can you do? Which it's crazy knowing that, and I want to I would love to go with people to like a haunted location. I would never want to
You
use
have
it.
done that, haven't you?
I have with the auditorium.
Yeah.
At RSU, but like any student who finds that fascinating has done something in the auditorium.
I always like talking about, so one of the projects, and I guess I'll just put it out there if someone wants to steal it, but one of the projects that I want to do, and I really think it's really cool because I do go there mostly every year. I didn't go there this last year, but the previous 2 or 3 years I'd went to in Honobia. Or it's called Honobi because that's the Oklahoma way of making anything. But it's in southeast Oklahoma. It's in the Kiamichi Mountains there. There's a Bigfoot festival and conference. And it's also they consider themselves an academic conference there with their Bigfoot research. But it's fascinating the times I've been there. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, half of it is just like a small town festival, you have food trucks and things of that, bluegrass music or whatever, things like that. But then the other half is these people that are there to, tell Bigfoot stories, talk about Bigfoot, the latest in Bigfoot research. But it's interesting. I guess at night they have these story times around where people talk about stories that they have of Bigfoot. It's interesting. I don't know. I think that'd be a really good spot just to highlight of the different things there because it is.
That's something we do want to actively do.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, so there's. I mean, people love Bigfoot, and yeah.
Do you believe? So I believe that Bigfoots could exist.
Big feet.
Big feet could. Is that? Big feet? I believe
What's
that
the plural of Bigfoot? Is it Bigfoots, Bigfoot, big feet?
Big feet. I believe that they existed.
Big feet.
Big feet. I am sure that they existed at one point, but I don't know if I would believe in them now. I don't know about either of you guys, if you guys believe in the Bigfoot. But I definitely think that, given dinosaurs existed and...
But when we find remains of him?
Well, I mean, we've only found so many T-Rex bones, so I mean, it could just be, maybe they're just really hard.
Really down in there. Maybe he biodegrades real quickly.
Yeah.
We got brittle
we don't
bones.
know. It could just be turning into oil real quick. So I don't know. I think that they probably existed or something similar. I don't know if I would believe that they exist today.
Well, there's the idea that perhaps he's an interdimensional traveler.
Well, if that's the case, then by God, I'm all for it.
He could be in here right now.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty. That'd be a pretty
special
cool.
powers.
That'd be a pretty cool trick.
I like the alternate dimension in which we're just 3 Bigfoot versions of ourselves having this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Do humans exist? All right. Today we're talking about do humans exist?
Human?
What do you know about humans?
What's the plural of humans? Human?
What an interesting.
So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about spirit talkers, but yeah, I mean, is there anything like do you do specific native legends and things like that, or is it
it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I have to look at our catalog, but we've done everything from like, Bigfoot, Deer Woman, Little People.
Oh, Deer Woman, yeah.
Little People, Big World.
No.
The whole series.
Yeah.
No. Water Serpents.
Yeah.
I can't think of them, but there's like about 40 episodes. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So little people, Alex, in Native communities is the idea. There's these small people that are mischievous. They will move things. They could have been moved.
Could have moved the screen.
It's like an elf on a shelf, like sort of.
That's
like,
why a lot of natives do not do the elf on the shelf.
Yeah.
That's inviting little people into their. Oh, I've heard that a lot. Of like, we're not about to do that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. You lose a pair of socks. I don't know. I mean, there's a bunch of yeah.
So elf on the
people.
shelf invites little people in.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because it's a little thing, you know.
And it's also mischievous.
It's also mischievous, yeah.
It's like it could be kind of fun. I'm not inviting them in. I want to make that clear.
Go for it, Alex.
Big Al.
Well, good luck, Alex, for inviting those in.
Little people, Big Al.
Yeah.
That's a Big Al talking.
Yeah.
I am not.
For the reference.
I am
for the reference. This. Yeah.
I'm not
Don't
inviting
call us.
Yeah.
No, I don't want.
LPs. No, like at night, like we say like LPs. So, because you're not at night, you're not supposed to say like the actual name of them. You can invite them in.
Thank God it's noon.
Yeah, it's noon, so you're good.
Yeah.
But if you're ever at night, just say LPs, and then even Deer Woman, we say DW.
So you would you say you're superstitious then?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I am unfortunately like very superstitious to the point where like I will throw salt over my shoulder, which is a bit annoying.
If you spill it, or just in general.
Well, in general.
So you just any salt you see, you just throw it over your shoulder.
No, like if I'm pouring salt and like I pour way too much like on the table, I'm gonna take that salt and throw it over I throw it over both shoulders because I don't know which shoulder it's supposed to be, and I figure might as well do both.
Yeah, at that stage, I don't know when it crosses from superstitious to just some sort of OCD thing that you have. Yeah.
But like if I spill salt, I'm definitely like get that over.
Yeah.
Get that over.
Well, it's to keep the goblins away or something like that.
What is that? What is that?
I don't know. I just thought it was bad luck.
I think it's because I heard it from Sleepy Hollow. Like it's to keep the goblins away.
Look,
You scared of goblins, Alex?
I remember like the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and there's that episode where he spills salt and then he throws pepper over his shoulder, and then like that little creature like coughs and then crawls into his ear. So I assume it's something like that.
Yeah, it's yeah. You spill. It's only after you spill salt that you're supposed to do that because spilling salt's bad or whatever, bad luck.
But I just assumed it was always like bad luck. So like I might knock on wood. Maybe I'll get in a car crash. I spill some salt now. I'm gonna
wood.
Better than nothing.
Enough wood.
If I spill salt, and if I don't throw it over my shoulder, I might get into a car crash. Like, so it's like better to throw the salt.
The goblins are going to cause the car to crash.
See, I didn't know about goblins until just now.
Yeah.
I was reading a Knock on Wood actually that like calls like some sort of spirit or something.
What does?
Knock on wood?
Like it's like an old term used to call on. I want to say like evil spirits or something. That's what I read, and then because I used to go knock on wood. What I just did it, but forget that. But I read that when people used to do that, they would call like these evil spirits or something like that back in the day, and it turned into what it is now of like, oh, I hope nothing bad happens, right?
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to go from
Positive.
calling evil spirits into being like a. Well, now if I knock on wood, I'm keeping myself safe.
Well, it's weird because like even like it's like don't knock at night, like because if you do that, then you're calling something to you. Like if you knock on a door at night, like randomly, you could call us or like looking outside at
Just
night.
ring the doorbell.
I'm thinking
Bust down
I think
the
you could
door.
I think you could do a doorbell.
Bang
like
on
just-
the window.
I had that happen.
Yeah.
A ghost did that to me.
That's funny.
No, but like even whistling at night.
Yeah, that was one of the videos that I saw. It's like, I think it's one of your pin videos. Don't whistle at night. So that's a little spooky. I like to whistle.
Don't do that
At
night.
all times.
I'm just going to avoid your stuff though, because I'm way too superstitious already.
Have
And
some
I'm
salt with you. And
just throw it over. Anytime I whistle, I'll just.
Just keep little packets of salt that you break open and you throw over your shoulder.
you're good.
Oh God. I'm just maybe God. No, I don't know.
When you get salt in your stat. Yeah.
See, I try to be
Facts right
logical about things of just being like, okay, let's be honest here. Logically, what is throwing salt over my shoulder really going to do? But then there's the part of me that's like, I don't know, like better safe than sorry.
So with Okie podcast, was there a point kind of like what we was talking about? I mean, you experimented and did different things. Was there a point in which you thought you hit your stride, or like it really the show changed in an interesting way?
Man, they say after episode 40, you start recognizing and get better, but
Is that what they say?
that's what they say.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I don't know who they are, but
Who was
episode
your
are we on?
episode 40?
damn, who was that?
What episode are we on?
We don't know. We don't know. We may have crossed that by now. I don't know.
It might have took me 60.
It might be this one. This might be episode 40.
It might have took me 60 episodes, but yeah, I mean, you notice like you start it just becomes natural. Like, and that's what I noticed. It was just like everything became more natural, and it was just like being more relaxed, having fun, so it's just not putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I don't even know what episode I'm on now. I mean, I maybe 150 of that, but I took like a 4-month break over this summer from June to like October.
You mean
So
last summer, because this will be in.
yeah, last summer I took a break and I was just traveling a lot. So, and I didn't feel like I was going to give 100% of myself to the people I would have on.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I want to give at least all of me to my guests.
At the very minimum, I want to give my entire self.
Yeah. I don't want to like half-ass it and like be tired and have them, and they could recognize that energy. Like I want my energy primed and ready. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And so I think a break was good because it allowed me to just kind of ease back in. And I mean, coming back, it was like, I felt a lot better about it. And I wasn't like, I don't know. You just recognize something when you take a break and come back and it's like, oh, like it seems a little easier now. I don't know, but maybe it's because I've done more, but Spirit Talker still happened.
So what caused, was it just experimentation? What caused you to want to do Okie podcast from the very beginning?
Man. So, I had no idea what it was until I watched actually Joe Rogan, and it was just like talking. And that was when he was like in some room and it was dark and the cameras were weird. It wasn't how it was and how it is now. It was just like real small and everything. And he had like a blue ball mic and they were just talking. And so I remember watching that and like, oh, that looks easy, right? Like not knowing anything about it. And at that time I was still doing MMA and stuff in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And then I got done with that and we moved back here and I started working. And dang, that was about 2015. And I wanted to do a podcast, but I was too lazy to figure it out. Finally, before COVID hit, I just said, man, I'm going to try it. So like I said earlier, I educated myself and watched videos and learned how to do it and bought all my stuff. And then it just like sat around. And so I was afraid to do it because I didn't want to, I was afraid of people dogging me, like hating on me and but it's gonna happen either way. Like you just have to realize that. So finally, I did it, pushed it out. Riker came out, my first episode, and I just kept doing it. I just finally said, like, I don't care what anybody thinks, I'm gonna do it. So I just kept doing it and doing it every week for like, God, until I took a break.
Wow.
Every week, yeah.
I can't imagine doing it every week. I mean, I do They'll feature every week when it's but just like 10 episodes at a time now, and then Cade Friends is every other week, and we could not do the show every week for a year straight. So I got to give you props for that. Yeah, that's crazy. Do you feel like you have to? So when you have these conversations, is it more relaxed? I mean, you think you have to be performative in any way, or do you think it is just trying to replicate like actual conversations, or a little bit of both?
I think it's probably both. I mean, because I've grown so much from that first episode to now, and I mean, it's just like I'm more relaxed. I know that, but I mean, it's just like, I don't know, man. Like I never really think about it. I never really just sit back and be like, man, look at the change, like the growth, and there's growth there, but I don't know. It's just hard to kind of, I guess, like live in that moment, I guess, like try to be like, man, like I came from like just not even know how to do it to now just doing it and creating more. And I mean, it's opened so many other doors for me too, but I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's hard to like kind of say like I perform on it when it is just like conversation. Like it's me getting to know that person, how I did you, like we met, but on there we really got to know each other. We really got to talk, and I got to know you. Everybody got to know you who didn't know you, and then it was just like a fun time, and that's basically like what it is. I don't try to make you uncomfortable. I try to make people feel as comfortable as possible, and and just have fun, like we said earlier, like pretend that's not on, let's just have fun and chill, and then get people to know you.
We haven't done this yet, and we usually do this, and we never do it at the beginning when we should. Can you tell us a little bit about like your life, like where did you grow up, and then because you just referenced like MMA. I had no idea that you did like some MMA. Like, are you from here, and where did you move around, go to school, and what ultimately, I mean, I think you've talked about it quite a bit, but like what ultimately was that deciding factor to start the podcast and like stop what you're maybe doing with other stuff and do it?
Yeah. So I grew up in Pawnee, Oklahoma, born and raised, went to high school, graduated in 2006, and worked there for a year at our casino. And then I went to II in New Mexico from 2007 to...
I had no idea you went to IAA.
About 2010. Yeah, I mentioned it here and there on the podcast, but it's not like I just
what is
shout it out. Institute of American Indian Arts.
What were you studying there?
Filmmaking. Yeah.
That tracks.
Cinematic arts is what they call it now. But back then it was moving images. And so, but yeah, I went there from 2007 to 2010. Had a lot of fun, met a lot of great people. After that, started working in Santa Fe, but I was still athletic enough to do stuff. So I found a gym. It was ran by Tate Fletcher. He was on The Ultimate Fighter. And then he had Henry Martinez teaching, and Ruben Rivera, Nate Harris, and Benjamin Sandoval. And they were my coaches. And so I went there as Undisputed Fitness. It's still Undisputed Fitness. And I went there for maybe a year, and I switched gyms. And then I did MMA, and man, it's tough to get into, and you have to realize like I'm just a broke kid with no kind of insurance, and so getting hit in the face and possibly breaking bones is like, how's that going to get paid for if that happens to me? So, and it did happen, and so just had a lot of things heal on their own, and so. And then I transitioned to jiu-jitsu, which is a lot easier, but it's still terrifying. Like you're training to kill somebody pretty much. And so I got my blue belt, blue belt curse. If anybody knows, you don't ever go back. I don't know why, but I don't know. I just kind of realized like I got stuck in an arm bar and my elbow popped, and I was afraid that if I did it again, it was just going to snap out of place. And so I just stopped. I stopped going for a little bit, and then finally we moved back here, and I started working at a casino, both casinos here in Tulsa. River Spirit first, and then Osage later. And then, like I said before COVID, it was like I really hate my job. I'll be honest, like I hated my job. It was really good money, but
What did you do at the casinos?
I was a guest service representative, and I cashed out jackpots. But I mean, the guests were bad to us, and management was bad. But
would people tip you for cashing them out?
Yeah, we got tips, and we had to share them, and so but they just threw them in this big box, and they would add it to your check. But yeah, it was a good paying job, but man, I just hated it. And I wanted to do my own thing, but I didn't know what to do. I knew fighting was out of the question because I'm very injury prone. And then I was just kind of like, man, I don't know what to do. And so I was like, how about I try a podcast out? How about I give that a try? And usually I have a time with stuff because sometimes I just stop doing it. But I made it a point to like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep seeing where this goes. And so, yeah, I mean, that 2 year of every week nonstop was like just what I did. But I mean, it's helped me be a football commentator. It's helped me with getting in with the language program. It's helped me work with a lot of great people and meet people. And so it's just like, I'm always looking forward to what's next on, from the podcast, right? Like, and like I tell everybody, like, just try it. Like, try out whatever you want to try and see where it takes you. I mean, you never know.
So after you quit the casino job, you that's when you started the podcast, and
I would say like that's when I betted on myself.
Okay. Oh, hey, casino reference there. I like that.
Yeah.
And so, but in that meantime, though, you're obviously like starting a podcast isn't when you start, you're not going to make any money. So you're doing like your own film creative stuff, where you're getting like signed on or contracted out and stuff.
No. So that time I got a part-time job.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a little from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So it was nice. It was nice from like Monday through Friday, and
just so you
a little bit
maintain money.
Yeah. And so, and then I worked at TCC for a little bit, and then I realized like I just need to start doing my own stuff. Like I can't really work for anybody else because it's cool, but I'd rather see where I can go, how far I can go, so it's a lot of time to focus on myself, I guess.
How do you market yourself out into, like the Tulsa area? Because you just said you filmed a video for, who was it again?
Ava Johnson.
Yeah. Like, how did you get to that point? I assume you had to do a lot of like, small stuff. Like, did you, a lot of people do wedding photography. Did you do like what was your route of getting, going off on your own to now you're doing this video for?
Well, I'd say like, last summer, I got to do photography for conferences, like native conferences. And so I had a camera, and they're just like, yeah, we just need candid photos. So I said, okay. So,
and did you find this yourself, or did people reach out to you?
People reach out to me. And so I did it. And then I went to Vegas after that first conference, hosted that show. And then that's where I met Ava Johnson in Vegas.
Oh, wow. Because
she was on that same lineup. And so took a picture, said, hey. And that next week she performed at River Spirit for that conference. So I met her again, and she saw that I was taking pics and didn't think much of it. But I think in September she reached out, said, "Hey, you know, we know you do media. Would you mind shooting a video for us?" And I was just like, man, I don't know. I'm terrified. But I like doing stuff that terrifies me because it's like, can I do it? Am I able to do it? And so I just said, man, it's a great opportunity. And I was afraid to say yeah, but I said, let's do it. And so that's basically it. Like she reached out and her family reached out and
That's so cool.
and I was just like, yeah, dude. Yeah, let's do it. And so we shot it, put it together, and it was it's a good video. Like I surprised myself, and like Facebook, it has like close to like 30,000 views, I think.
After this, I will be
Yeah, you
looking
gotta
at
watch
it.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how we linked up. But yeah, I mean, you never know how things will work out. You know, like
Right place, right time, and just yeah.
I mean, and you're out here like at all of the, like we said earlier, you're at these events, and I mean, and you're like meeting people.
Oh, that
you're
too.
like, I mean, I mean, you're out there shaking hands and everything, and like, and I think I mean, I don't know, you could say this if you want to, but it seems like you're out there scoping a lot of like who would make good guests all the time, because I mean, you really are watching different types of group, I mean, artists, musicians. I mean, it's a wide range of different people that you have on there.
Always scouting. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like what? I mean, so you're looking at all sorts of different industries and different people and everything. It's got to be a lot of work too.
Yeah, like booking, you know, it can be, but like you said, I'm well enough to where I go out a lot, so people actually get to meet me. So that's made it easier to get people on. So
they see you there.
Yeah,
They see,
yeah.
I mean, it's. I mean, then they know you, and it's
yeah,
easier to.
or they hear about Okie podcast or Spirit Talkers, and they're like, "Oh, so that's you, right?"
Yeah.
So we went to Snotty Nose Res Kids, and there was like 5 people that were like, "Hey, we know you," and I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, Spirit Talkers and Okie podcast, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh man." Like, I didn't know how to feel. I was just like, that's pretty cool, man. Thank you for listening. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because like sometimes you feel like no one listens, right? Like, but then you get in your own head and stuff, or you just kind of like forget about it and move on to your next thing. And then it's always good to hear those things.
Yeah.
You know, like, we listen to you, you know, thank you for what you do for communities and stuff. And that's what I like.
Are you prepared for the fact that, you know, it's likely, especially like, you know, in the Tulsa community area, that, you know, there might come a point in your life where you go to a restaurant or go to a grocery store and you're going to get stopped multiple times and getting asked for a photo? Like, is that something?
Are you ready to be accosted?
It's like, and like, is that something like you look forward to, or you're like, you know, you're because, you know, you get one more viral video, you know, anything can happen. Like you said, you know, right time, right place. And, you know, especially because a lot of places, you know, you'll see like the amount of things that I see about Ohio when I'm living in Ohio and, you know, local to me is amazing. I never see anything in Oklahoma. And then now I'm in Oklahoma, I don't see anything like Ohio. So there is a lot of like location based stuff. And so, you know, it's very likely that you could have something just kind of, you know, shoot off. And so is that something that, like, do you look forward to it at all, or, you know, are you just going to kind of like
Run away? No.
yeah, run away.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, it's cool. I don't know. It's a weird feeling, I guess, but you have to remember, like, you are putting yourself out there, and there's people that listen to you. There's people that, I mean, they live with you on your podcast. Like, they just love what you do, right? Like, I'm sure you guys have a lot of fans too. You've been doing this, and there's people that will, if you don't have an episode out there, like, where you guys at? You know, like, they're waiting for Cade, Thomas, and friends, and like they're waiting, like, and so, but that's how it is. Like, when you put yourself out there, like, people, like I said, will love you or hate you. So I mean, you just have to kind of like, yeah, like, understand, like, that could happen, that will happen, but be nice. I just try to be nice as I can. You know, like, a lot of times I get a lot of stories, like paranormal stuff. And so, but I'm like, man, I wish I had my my microphone or my recorder with me so I can record you, right? Like, but yeah, I mean, like, it's just not looking forward to it. It's just surprising, but yeah, it's possible of like getting stopped or something. But I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I mean, I'll do the same thing of like, yeah, like talk to him and just be nice. You know, I don't want nobody being like, man, guys. An asshole.
Yeah. Turn someone who's like a fan and who might be telling all their friends, and then you have one chance encounter and they're like, I'm never telling my friends about you again.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate in that I don't think we don't really get any, like we're not at a point where we get like hate comments. We've gotten some weird
the dots.
Okay, yeah. The dots one did kind of pop off, and some people did not like the opinion of. Do you like dots, the candy? Now, be careful with your answer here, because this is a controversial thing. This, you know.
So just know that. What is your? Are you a fan of the candy dots?
I love them.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
No, I hate them.
I was about to, wow, okay. This is first.
You were about to get some new fans. No, and so like other than that though, but even those people, like the people who were like hating, like none of it read like truly like I'm going to kill your family hate. You know, it's all like it was like
never read that way. They could have meant it that way.
But, but it read like, you know, oh my God, how can you not like dots? That's like the god tier candy, and it's like it's not. First off, double down. You have chocolate, like you know, and so. You know, like Reese's, like hello, Kit Kat, Butterfinger, even. You know, you have all these.
It's not even the best fruit flavored candy.
No, not at all. No. Maybe we'll put this one out around October because then we can kind of capture that.
Our annual dots, reviving the dots controversy. Yeah.
But I don't even know where I was going with this. We're at a point where like we've gotten weird comments on like some of the stuff that has been made, but like a lot of the stuff, like Cade has gotten a lot of stuff on his channel of just like. We got one like it was like, hey man, keep it up, like you're doing a good job, and then it kind of turned like you better keep posting, and the content better stay like this. But you know, I'll count that as a support. Do you remember that one, Cade?
Yeah.
I don't even remember what video that was about because you know Cade's content is, you know, at least for a while especially, it was like, you know, we had school projects, and then, you know, there's a documentary, and then we made a movie, and then another documentary, and then we have the podcast. And so, you know, people suffer a lot of whiplash.
Yeah, it had a. I think the channel now has it's now the podcast, and if we do a project, it's also on there. But for a while, it was like, what is this? You know, and I think that was also what the comment was about. Is like, could you settle on some sort of, you know, theme or something? I
think about them more than we should.
Yeah,
I think we've referenced them in a comment before.
Yeah, it was a long. It's like because it's like a novel of, and it's like it was genuine and nice, but it was also weird. Yeah.
We do read a lot of we read, like, you know, we're at a point where, you know, like we can read all the comments. And so like anytime we post a TikTok, you know, I will monitor that TikTok for a few days. And I'll go back and I'll comment, and then I'll see what other people are commenting. And you know, sometimes people comment, and even just one comment, like some stranger who's commented, like, you know, gets me excited. I'm like, yes, there we go. Like there's, you know, this is someone who, you know, they've interacted with us. Now, hopefully the algorithm will bring them back again. And, you know, I don't know. Every comment it means something to me, which, you know, it's nice to be at that point.
You know, and I mean, if we're just talking about the positives of I think you yourself, your personality is infectious, and I think people really enjoy that a lot. And I think that comes through in all yours. You come off very genuine, and knowing you in real life, how you are off camera and on camera or on mic.
You can attest for him?
I can attest that you are a genuine human being, and real, and how you come off. And I think that's part of it. And then also, I mean, just the marketing idea of both of those shows it's really just very smart of calling it, Okie podcast. As we're saying, like the local aspect to it, it gets that. It makes it very clear that it's about, people and everything. And I think that was incredibly smart. And then, the spirit talkers and everything, all of that, like, making what the concept of your podcast be very clear from the title and also from how you're doing it, and the content. It's incredibly smart marketing, really.
So when are you going to have, like, are you going to do an offshoot? So you have the Okie podcast. Is it going to be like the American podcast? the American podcast?
Yeah.
The
Americana
podcast?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very, I mean, I think at times you feel like you don't want to put your podcast in too much of a box, but I think that makes it so much easier for an audience to grab onto in searchability, SEO or whatever, but also just, that they can quickly understand it and everything, You
also have like a very like, I've known you just, I don't know what like 2 hours, hour and a half now. And like, and so I knew the very basics but like your laugh, like, I don't know, you laugh very easily. And I don't know, I think people who laugh easily and like, you have a very like kind of an infectious laugh. Like when you laugh, like it's a little infectious, but I think people who laugh easily, like, it kind of, that shows like a good character. Like, I don't know, I'm more willing to trust someone who's a lot more jovial and laughing than I am someone who's like, if I say something like I was just talking about car troubles I was having and you were busting out laughing. And I'm like, it is funny. And
my pain is funny. Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it does kind of prove like this genuineness of just, like this laughter that, you're brought to easily.
I mean, I don't know. I used to be kind of serious, but it's like, don't be too serious because, man, bad stuff happens all the time. You just have to like brush it off and be like, man, there's nothing I can do about it. Get some salt, but I mean, there's nothing I can do about what's happening. So look at the positive in it. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with your radio, but I'm sure something positive will happen.
It's not making a noise anymore. So check out the Lexi podcast or my podcast for that one.
But I mean, yeah, man, I'm really easygoing. I just don't see a point in like being all super serious all the time. Like, I mean, I'm serious. I can be serious, but man, I'm just like, trying to have a good time. Like if I came in here like super serious and just made you guys uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So Russell,
ooh, something just came up, Russell. We need to
This whole set wasn't ready for me. You guys aren't ready? I gotta get out of here. No, but I mean, that's just how I look at it. I mean, and then I hang around a lot of comedians too. So, I mean, they're always cracking me up. And Cade called me a comedian before we started. And I was like, well, I'm not really a comedian.
Hang around.
I hang around them and I host them. And like, I have bits too, but I mean,
comedic host.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Comedic host, so, but I mean, I admire them because, man, they have so many funny things to say, and the shows are amazing. I mean, Cade went to that last one I went to, and it was outstanding.
Yeah.
Should have been there, Big Al.
I do love comedy. Like I go through every year or so, like at least once a year, every other year maybe. I'll just kind of get hit with like this comedy bug. I'll get bit by it, and I will. I follow a lot of like channels on YouTube and TikTok of like these different like comedy, and I get comedians who pop up on my page, and sometimes I'll go out looking for them, and then sometimes I just let it come up. But I do love comedy. I would love to go to like more comedy clubs. But just like it just never works out for my timing, or I have to drive like 2 hours to go see like the people I want to see, and I'm just like, I just don't know if I can fit that in my schedule. But God, if I was in town and like if you were like, hey, there's actually a comedy thing going on tonight at 8 p.m., I'd be like, okay, well, I can't tonight, but tomorrow I'd be like all down for it.
I would say yes, and then wait, no.
No, I actually do have something.
Actually, can you move it for me? That's what I would say.
Well, Cade and I both have plans tonight, so like I was saying this fully like theoretical, and I was like I really leaned into it too far.
You were scared that he was going to say, "Oh, actually, there was one tonight."
I don't know. I thought it's a chance he might have been like actually. But I do like comedy shows.
Yeah.
Oh, there is. I can't go.
I could probably go tomorrow, Monday, probably not Tuesday, Wednesday maybe.
Russell, do you have any? This was typically one of our wrap-up questions. Is do you have any advice for people? I think in particular, people wanting to get into podcasting and wanting to branch out that way.
Man, I would say if you're wanting to do a podcast or anything, anything you want to try and do it. Don't wait for a perfect time to start because there never is, and start. Just find a way to start and just put your heart into it. Have fun. Don't worry about the haters or who's going to love it, or don't worry about nobody, man. Just do it for you. Do it because you want to. Don't put no pressure on yourself. Just have fun and do it. That's basically what it is. There's no like, I don't know. People love putting pressure on themselves, and then it just adds a lot of stress. But I would say have fun, mess up, fail. There's no if you fail, you can do it again. Or you can try again, try a different way. Failure is how you learn. So I've failed. I still fail. There's times where I fail, but it's cool because I accept it now. Before I'd like, oh man, I'm done. I'm done with it. But I accept it and I move forward and I just try to make it better. So, it sounds pretty simple, but it's hard. If you got to let go of your ego. You have to let go of who you think you are and what you think is going to happen. You just have to do it and then just enjoy it. And you'll be surprised where you're at in a year or two. So that's basically it, man. Like, that'd be my advice to people. Just try it. If you love it, keep doing it. If you don't love it, then try something else. Like, everything's endless. Nothing's impossible. Yeah. Boom.
And clip.
Yeah. I love that. I love that a lot. Well, you have any other questions for Russell here?
Yes. Do you have anything you want to plug? Obviously, there's several things that we've been talking about, but this is, give your ats, any of the ats that you want to plug.
Yeah. Follow me at Okie Podcast on Instagram at Rustamus49. Follow me on Facebook, Russell Sun Eagle. You can add me on there as well. Okie Podcast is on Facebook, and then Spirit Talkers. Spirit Talkers Podcast is on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on Apple, Spotify. Okie Podcast, same thing. Apple, Spotify, wherever. Audible. I'd say Google it, and you would find either one. And shout out to Southwest Trading Company. Go check them out here in Tulsa. Check out Native Code Gallery up in Ada, Oklahoma. And man, I think that's it.
You also, do you have your own merch? Because you're wearing a hat.
I had this made at Lids.
Oh, okay.
So
shout out to Lids.
Yeah, shout out to Lids for hooking it up. Mine only.
You would sell it, right, if someone had the right price?
Yeah, if somebody wanted this hat, worn by me, maybe an offer. OBO.
You could sign it, maybe? And then
sign it under here, yeah.
If you want, send us an email. We don't plug our email enough.
No.
Comment below or send an email if you want his hat.
We'll give the information over.
Yeah, we can pass on, but
we'll be the middleman in that negotiation. Yeah.
What's our email again, Cade?
It's cadefriends@gmail.com.
Yeah, so send us an email, comment below.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I appreciate you support the whole community of podcasters, like in all of your posts and everything. You're tagging people and everything, and you're whenever we talk, you're like, oh, you should check out this group and everything. And I love how supportive you are of this, system that's here, and I feel very welcomed in that, and it's all because of you and what you're doing there. So I do appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. I'm always trying to be your biggest supporter, like whoever, podcaster, whatever, comedian, I'm always wanting to support you. Like I told somebody before, like I don't really pay attention to mainstream stuff anymore. It's more of like my friends. Like I love hearing what y'all do when you do it and what everybody's working on. I mean, when I watch movies now, like I look for people that I might know, or like I look forward to like podcast episodes or just different shows, comedy shows tonight. Big Al. No, but like, I mean, that's what it's all about, man. Supporting everybody. Like, I mean, because you're nothing without your supporters. Listeners.
Support local.
Yeah, always support local. So I'll do that even when I have 10 people rushing me in Walmart.
All right, everyone.
As we talked about earlier.
Here's your autograph, but also be sure to check out Cade Friends.
Coming soon.
Yeah. Still not out yet. I've made it to the stratosphere of fame. Still waiting for that episode to drop, but it'll be out soon.
2024, the year it is currently.
No, but thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for
I
coming.
really
Thank you.
appreciate you guys having me on, and I enjoyed just chatting it up with y'all, man. Just having a good time and scaring you with the knock.
I'm so embarrassed by that. I really am.
That was awesome.
The best part about that is that like Cade is going to go in and clip that for TikTok, and it's just going to, he'll put some scary music behind it or something, and then it's going to knock and anything for content, I guess.
It's been great having you, Russell, and it's, as always, Big Al, great having you. We'll see ya.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for inviting me, Cade and Big Al.